All right, let's move on. How about we move on to the SEC, where we've
Yeah.
got the Florida Gators taking on the Alabama Crimson Tide in a matchup of Heisman Trophy quarterback candidates. Tim, what do we
This is
got
a
here?
Chicago. This is as Chicago Bears fans.
Yes,
Chicago Bears fans, watch this game.
yes, Chicago Bears fans, we've got their two quarterbacks on display here: Kyle Trask, Mac Jones. They one of them might look good in an orange and blue as
This
an
may be a
NFL quarterback for the
reality. Yeah,
Bears.
these two might be the quarterbacks who are most likely to be in a Bears uniform compared to the other ones because, especially the Bears keep winning, son. And we'll talk about this next video. We're probably going to be drafting late teens, maybe even early 20s. So Jones and Trask are good options late one, early two.
Exactly, exactly. Both of those guys, I think, are projected to fall anywhere between late round one, early round two. And yeah, I mean, well, okay, hold on. Let's talk about this matchup really quick.
Okay, then we'll
Um,
get into them. All right.
yeah, yeah.
So
So let's talk about this matchup, and then we'll talk about the matchup of the quarterbacks and with the Bears. So let's
yeah.
get that over with. I mean, Florida, Alabama. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to just talk about Alabama. Maybe you can talk about Florida. Whatever
Okay.
you want to do. Alabama's a well-oiled machine, dude. This is man. Talk about rebounding from a tough year last year. This
Hmm.
team has played only SEC teams, and they're winning by an average of 50 to 17. They're not padding it on against some crap like Troy. No, they're beating SEC teams.
Hmm.
They're dominant, dude. They're going for 350 yards in the air, 190 on the ground. They're beating you every way to Sunday. Let's talk about Devonta Smith
Whew.
and lost Jalen Waddle, who might
Oh,
have been better than Devonta Smith. These are top 15 wide receivers in this.
yeah.
Devonta Smith has 16 touchdowns, some of them kickoffs. He has like 1350 in terms of yards. This guy is like Marvin Harrison
Right.
2.0. He's really thin, so there's a concern there, but he's like Tariq Hill fast.
Oh yeah, I mean he reminds me of a lot of when Calvin Ridley was in Alabama.
Mm.
You know, not a big guy, but just a fast, terrific route runner with great hands.
And
I
he could
mean,
high point the ball incredibly well. He's
yes,
always wide open, but then he's like in the back of the end zone. I'm just like, well, this guy could do everything.
he's so good. No, I agree. I think Smith is great. I mean, Mac Jones getting him the ball's great. Alabama looks, yeah, they're the best team in college football. I think we can both agree that this year it's Alabama versus the field. We'll
Yeah,
see who could who could take a swing at the Goliath.
I
I
don't know,
mean, this
man.
time it's going to be Florida. Look, Florida is. I mean, what do we call them? Shoegazi. Look, they are the Shoegate. They had Shoegate, whatever that was. But listen, they are. Look, they have an impressive win against Georgia on the
Yes,
resume for sure. But that loss against LSU, I think, just stained their season. I
it
don't,
did.
it's going to be tough. I don't know what kind of Florida team we're going to get on Saturday. We need the best Florida team. Florida needs the best team to show
This
up
team ever.
and the best team ever. I don't think it's going to happen. I do think it's going to be a high scoring affair. I do
They
think
kind of
Trent.
mailed it in. They did kind of mail it in, and they did not have Kyle Pitts. I will say both of those things.
Okay, fair enough.
But but that was a bad loss, and they and
Terrible loss.
terrible loss. But the ridiculous thing here, son, is the fact that Florida only dropped one spot in the rankings from
Hmm.
6 to 7 with that bad loss. And they
Yeah.
still, in some way, if chaos happens, can still make the playoff as a first team ever with 2 losses.
Yeah, that I if they somehow manage to beat Alabama, yeah, I'm still not sure. I mean, the look on your face says it all. Look, I don't think they're going to beat Alabama either. Do I think it might be close? Yes. Do
Maybe.
I want to see a very good game? Yes. But I just think Alabama's a little bit better. I like just on the offensive side and the defensive side. I just think they're the better team. Um,
They haven't played a quarterback the style of the like Kyle Trask.
that's
So that's
true.
a huge thing. Do you,
Well,
so yeah, go ahead.
So
Sorry,
then
man.
let's go into this quarterback matchup really quick because I wanted to talk about Kyle Trask. This is really, I mean, he started he did play last year, but he started only after their quarterback went down. He did
Felipe
play
Franks.
some games last year. He did really well. And now this is his first full season as the starting quarterback. Do you even think he has enough experience to play in a big
Yeah,
game like
he
this?
didn't start like from freshman year of high school, like
Right.
6 years. So yeah, he's done well. Like he's throwing up Joe Burrow numbers, man. 40 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, leading SEC in passing yards. He's crazy.
People have made comparisons to Joe Burrow with him because, like him, Joe Burrow, the year before he just broke out at LSU, he had a pretty good season, but not a great season. And then he just sort of took off. And I think people are sort of trying to compare Kyle Trask in the same way, that he had a pretty good,
Yeah,
several games last year. And now this year, he's actually elevated his game. People have actually mentioned them in the same way. I
yeah,
don't know
I
what
know.
you
I
think of
think it's
that.
because of his stat line. But if you look at Kyle Trask's build, he's 6'5", 6'4", 6'5". He's like 245 pounds. So he's like in the mold of Carson Wentz, Ben Roethlisberger.
Right. Or like
Uh,
Dante Culpepper.
exactly. So this is a huge dude, but he is the slowest mofo ever. Like they show some clips of him running. It's like Nick Foles bad.
Oh man,
Like it's
that's
like
bad.
Nick Foles like a 5 yard run. It just like takes.
If he runs any slower, he'd be laying down.
No, I know. So Kyle Trask, and he can't really do much in terms of improvisation. So there's a
Mm,
lot of concerns. At least Ben Roethlisberger could, sling it around, especially when he was super raw. He was all over the place. Carson Wentz, even though he's slow, he's able to get out of the pocket and improvise. Not so much Trask. He's really good in terms of finding open receivers. He could sling the ball far. Just his mobility scares me.
how much of that do you think is inexperience? Like the fact that or do you think it's just because he's got those physical
You can't teach
limitations?
fast.
Well, I mean, but he could
Yeah,
still be, if maybe he had more experience, he would have better pocket presence. He would be
maybe.
able to escape in certain situations whereas now he's probably just more of a statue. I mean,
Yeah.
like maybe he'd be better at reading defenses if he'd had more experience and those sorts of things. I mean,
Well,
how
Mitch
much
Trubisky could have been better at reading defenses if he had more experience, but
ex-
how did that go?
well, I definitely can't read a defense. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, there's definitely an element of that. I mean, I think he has like Kirk Cousins upside.
okay.
I also think like, especially Bears fans concerned, I don't really like him in round one. I'm interested in him more in
Correct.
round two.
Correct.
I think he has more bust potential. I think he could have like maybe Connor Cook, like
Mhm.
second, third rounder that just kind
Mhm.
of flamed out. I'm worried that that could be him. He's not
Yeah.
Joe Burrow. He doesn't have the athleticism. He doesn't have the arm of Joe Burrow. A lot of times when I'm watching him complete passes, he's not throwing 60-yard bombs. He's
Mhm.
picking apart the defense in different ways, and it's
Mhm.
usually shorter fields. So
Mhm.
I want to go into though my friend Mac Jones.
Mm.
And Mac Jones, in my opinion, I love him for the Bears. He
Oh,
is,
okay.
I love him. I almost, in my opinion, if the Bears are going to pick like around, 18, 20, I like him there. I like him a lot. Dude, what I like about him so much is the fact that he's such a cerebral quarterback.
Okay.
And you could really see that with the type of anticipation he does. He's great at going from one read to another. And I feel like he has one of the best deep ball touches we've seen in a long time. And maybe that's just from playing with Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle and just having that offensive line. He just seems like he's just this really smart quarterback, and especially in a Matt Nagy system. I think that's so important to be able to know your reads, be able to make all the passes. He does have some issues with throwing power. So he's not
Mm.
going to throw as far as Trask, as far as Justin Fields. But I just feel really good about him. He has a 76% completion percentage. Um, I really like him, and he's a tall dude. He's like 6'3". It's not like he's small.
Mhm.
I yeah. There's not much more I'd say about him. I just feel like just being a cerebral quarterback, knowing how other quarterbacks in NFL are who are very smart, seem to have success like that. So it seems like he's kind of in that mold.
Do you think he has any limitations in terms of his mobility?
Not as much as Trask, but yes, he doesn't have that improvisational skill. Improvisational
Hmm.
skillity. No, he's not a Trey Lance. He's not a Justin Fields. He's not going to rip off a 20-yard run. He can escape a little more easily. Like he can escape more so than Trask, but he is kind of statuesque in that way as well.
Okay. Okay. Well,
You saw him. How do you feel about him?
no, I agree. The first thing I thought honestly was Nick Foles. So my first initial reaction to watching
Yeah,
Mac Jones this year was Nick Foles. But you know what? I think you're right. I think he's, you know,
that's
I may be
interesting.
selling him a little short because we're comparing him to the likes of Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields
Oh
and
my
these other
gosh, right?
guys. So I think because they're coming out in the same class, we sort of judge them by the same measurements, and they clearly, to me, seem like, although they have the and in Mac Jones's case, he has the chance to be a terrific NFL quarterback. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's really difficult when they're coming out in the same year as these other guys. But
I'm seeing real quick a pro comparison. Also, Kirk Cousins.
yeah, I think that's a pretty good. I think that's a pretty good comparison. I think Kirk
Yeah,
Cousins is a good comparison. He's got a good arm. Um, and again, he might be somebody that's very successful in play action,
yeah,
accurate ball, but yeah, not very limited in his mobility. Doesn't have like top level arm strength, but
yeah.
that's okay. I mean, and I think in somebody like Matt Nagy's system, he could be very successful. But
I
will Matt Nagy even be there? Who
Maybe
knows?
we'll go on that next time. I think one of the things I like about him too is he's experienced. He's been in the Alabama program a long time. He's been in a quarterback room with Tua and Jalen.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows what an NFL quarterback sounds like, and he just like really took off this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for him. I feel a little better about him than Trask. But let's get back to the Florida Alabama game. We're almost done. What do you think? Give me a prediction?
Oh boy. I think this game might be a little bit closer. I think this will be anywhere between the 10 to 14 point range. I'll give it like a 34-20 victory. Yeah, I think Florida, I saw your face, Tim. Look, I think Florida is going to come out and play with a little more energy than
Yeah.
and I think that they're going to I think they want to try to make a statement with this game. And I think they're
Yeah.
going to, I think we might get the best of Florida in this game. So I think they're going to be able to keep it close. Ultimately, I still think that Alabama wins by 14. So we'll say 34-20.
Nice. This is the best quarterback Alabama's played all season. So let's see how that may mess up. That may be good for Florida. That they're actually going to have. They have some playmakers. Kyle Trask
Hmm.
is good. I look at the Texas A&M game versus Alabama. They just dominated. I think it's going to be some of the same. I think it's going to be like 52 to 20 to 30.
Oh, wow.
And
So you're thinking
30
it's going to
might be a
be
weak score.
21 plus points here.
21 plus points. I think Alabama's just going to rake them.